Hey mom, can I have a quarter? Hey, Fragorn here. Got one of my build plans for the upcoming Legacy of Phrecia event. It's going to be very cool and fun, and I've got two good ideas for what I'm going to do with my builds. One's going to be more of a bosser that I will put more currency into and try to scale it up, get massive DPS and very tanky. And another is going to be a fast map blaster that's maybe my league starter. I'm not sure which one I'm going to start with actually, but it'll be more for just ripping through maps and getting me currency. So, and that's this one. We're going to start with the Behemoth. It's a very, very weird ascendancy, and this is going to be so cool to try to make this work. The challenge is half the fun. Making builds in this game is just as fun as playing. So, and this one is complex, and I'll describe what's going to happen here. So, all right, the Behemoth is a weird one, kind of like Blood Mage in Path of Exile 2. You have to go out through this node right here, Rampager. You got no other exit area from your start. So your first two ascendancies are this travel and then this passive notable. It's going to give you size, which does nothing. But you can't use spells. Note they're disabled, so spells are any spell like you'd think to cast. And one of my favorite things to do is use a brand or something like that to proc free power charge generation or calling strike, things like that. Can't do it. Can't use any auras. Can't use any heralds. Can't use any guard skills. Can't use any automation type skills. So it makes for a lot of complexity to not have any of that stuff. But you also don't have to. That's gone. You don't have to figure out how to make that work in your build. So things like reservation, efficiency, and things like that, they're out the window. You don't need it. So it's a big downside, but I found a way, I think, to overcome it, at least for a league starter that's just going to do what I want it to do. So here's what we're going to go. We're going to come out, get Rampager. Oh, and by the way, if you don't know, Rampage is just outstanding. Getting that on your first lab is going to be the bomb. I mean, people use gear that has Rampage on it for the campaign just for the point of having Rampage going. It increases your attack speed, adds all kinds of damage boosts and stuff like that. Let's just take a quick look at what it is here. Poe Rampage. Path of Exile has a great wiki, so you can get all the information you need. It's kill streak mechanics. So you kill, the more monsters you kill, the different effects of Rampage keep coming, and if you stop killing, you lose them. So it's a buff to how many kills you've done in a short period of time. So I need a 5-second kill from the previous kill, or it'll stop the counter. So you just gotta kill somebody every 5 minutes, which means you want to move through the areas quickly. You get a beneficial tier per when you hit different tiers. The beneficial effect is triggered, and it's got a list of all the tiers here. So I'm not going to go through all that, but there's lots of them. The main deal is you get 1% movement speed for 20 rampage stacks, and I think the cap's 1,000. Yeah, maximum is 1,000. That's easy to hit in certain maps with lots of mobs. If you juice your maps at all, it'll be super easy to hit. You'll hit it halfway through. 2% increased damage. That's huge. So just fantastic buff. And that's Rampage. So we're gonna have it starting at around level 32, 33 whenever you go to your first lab. If you're undergeared and weak and you're not smoking through monsters in Act 3 and maybe early Act 4, over level to 35, 36 and then do it. So that's just the smart way to play. All right, so what we're gonna do is get defensive. We can't use any good auras. We can't use determination. We can't use evasion, grace. Can't use any of that stuff. Can't use period of elements. So we need some way to reduce damage. We're going to do that with fortify and endurance charges. So fortify first. We're going to come out here. We're going to grab this one for our level 50-ish lab. All of our melee hits are then going to fortify. So that's fantastic. Fortify gives you 20% damage reduction from all hits. Doesn't matter what type of hit it is, whether it's elemental or physical or chaos. It's just reduced by 20% if you're at up to maximum. Per fortification, you can see that right there. You get 1 baseline. I'll get more than 1 because it's based on how hard you hit. And then up to 20, and we're going to regenerate the life, so that's very nice. I'm going to go up here and take this one, get the big attack speed boost for my fortification, and 10 to max fortification. So I think I'll have 35 fortification by the time I'm done with my build. I'll show you my passive tree in a second. So that's huge. That's just 35% damage reduction from hits and huge regeneration, which will deal with dots. So Fortify doesn't protect you from dots, but that regeneration sure does. So it's really cool. And then I'm going to come up here and grab this one, Max Rage, and this amazing text line, 15% chance that if you gain rage on hit, you instead gain up to your maximum rage. So I'll be gaining rage on every hit because of the passive tree. So basically a little like 1 out of 7 or whatever that 15% is hits will give me all of my rage, and I should be hitting fairly fast based on how I'm going to do the build. And rage gives you 1% more attack damage per rage. So, and I think I'm going to hit close to 60. And rage does degenerate if you're not hitting anybody, but if you're in fight and it's lasting, your rage stays high. And this 15% chance to gain rage on hit gives you maximum rage, will really keep your rage up really high very easily. So you're getting rampage for movement speed, attack speed, damage. Is it attack speed? I can't remember. Nope, it's not. It's not attack speed. Sorry, it's movement speed and damage. Attack speed from the fortification and other parts of the tree. Big damage boost from rage. Big damage boost from rampage. Big defensive boost from fortify. Well, like I said, they have like 35 fortify and 35 fortification. And I'm going to get endurance charges. So let's move on to the passive tree, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So here's what I got. I didn't use Path of Building because it's a pain in the butt putting in all that extra text for the updates with the Legacy event. So I just did the old-fashioned passive tree, which is just fine. Give you guys a snapshot of what I'm doing with my talents. I got 5 left here, so this is like a level 95-ish tree. Easy to get to level 95 in Path of Exile. It's not even hard. It's just grind a little and grind efficiently, and you'll get there. Don't die when you're at high level. So Marauder start point, because this is a Marauder. There's no Ascendancy for this. I can't click on that because that option's not available for the Behemoth. But we're just going to come through here. I'll just go through all these points so you see what they are. But you can pull up this passive tree just off the forum site for Path of Exile too. A little more armor life. A little more armor life. Armor life. Armor life. Armor life. Little bonus flat regeneration, and strength is good because I'm going to be doing attacks and physical attacks, so strength buffs that. Strength gives you life too. Let's take a look here. Ignore this character stuff. He's an old guy and it's not important. Strength gives you 1 life per 2 strength, so the more strength you have, the more flat life you have, and then 1 melee physical damage per 5. So this character that I'm building for this league will not have 1,000 strength, probably something like 300, but strength is still always good. Just coming out here, unlike Path of Exile 2, you can't choose what they are. Strength nodes are strength nodes, and deck nodes are dex nodes. We're going to work our way down, come through here, probably grab this as my first little chunk of damage. This is increasing physical attack damage, and there's 2 bonuses here in Bastion Breaker that are so good. So it's just a bunch of flat physical damage, which is outstanding. But this mastery, hits have 50% chance to ignore physical damage reduction, plus the notable of Bastion Breaker, 50% chance. You're at 100% chance to ignore enemy physical damage reduction. So if an enemy has any kind of physical damage reduction, whether it's armor or some other buff that prevents physical damage from coming through, it's gone. Your hits will just ignore it, treat it as 100% of the damage they're supposed to be doing, they'll do. These nodes are crit nodes, and I'm not going to take them right away until I get my weapon. So they're based on the weapon, and I'll show you that after we go through this. That's really the There's only one piece of gear you need to make this build work as a league starter, and that's the sword. So we will get more crit, crit multi, and crit for Path of Exile is just not quite as good as Path of Exile 2, but it's the more critical strike multiplier you have, the more damage your critical strike hits do. So you scale them the same way. Try to get more crit chance and try to get more multiplier. These sword nodes are also crit nodes, so take these later. So this crit wheel is later. So we're coming through here. We will start generating rage right away. Rage is awesome, so we'll hit this right away. We want to generate rage on hit. Get a little more rage, so that's 2. And then more rage when hit, and this increased armor. And what I really want this for is the mastery. Increased movement speed per 5 rage, so I want to be as fast as possible. That's movement speed is king in this game. You just want lots of movement speed. Come up here, grab some more life, a little more regen. Free elemental resistance. You get 16 from these 2 nodes, plus armor and evasion. It's very nice early to, if you don't have good gear, to get yourself some of this. You probably drop this later as you get better gear. This is an endurance charge wheel, and it's outstanding when you have a lot of them, and it's not useful at all until you have all of them. So we're going to have 5 at the end. You get 3 base, 4, and 5. So when I have 5 of them, it'll be 40% increased damage from this node, and chance to get endurance charge on kill, which is big. 15% increased area of effect per endurance charge, or 3 per, but for 5 is 15%. That's nice. A little more stun. When you do stun enemies, it'll last a little longer, and a little more armor. So this is all nice once you have more endurance charges. I'll probably end up with 6 because I'll probably get a corruption to give me the 6th endurance charge. So that's nice. Good stuff. You can come up here, grab this right away, take this, and scoot right through here to this wheel right here. I love this one. This is your leech area. So what you're going to get is leech mastery. 10% of your leech is going to be instants. This guy's going to have lots of recovery because he's going to be regenerating life from fortification and also leeching. So you're going to leech attack damage, get a little more out of it, and you're also going to leech mana. So this is going to be your mana sustain and little life leech. It's just a really good wheel for any melee attack build. This is 2-handed crit chance stuff. Do not take this till later, until you get your sword, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So again, we're going to come out, come down, go through here. We are going to get this physical mastery because we're going to be doing physical damage. We're going to get the rage. We're going to get the life. We're going to get the resistances. We're going to come up here and we're going to get our leech. The crit, and the endurance, we're going to wait till later. So then we'll come out here and start working on our fortification. So you're going to get 1 extra fortification, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. So it's 20 is base. I think we're adding 10 from there. So we're going to have 36 fortification from the tree and the Ascendancy, which is awesome. So that's 36% damage reduction from hits. Very strong. This one also gives you another 1% life regen per fortification. So I think at max fortification we'll be regen at about 12, 13 from fortification. 1.8 from there. 1.6 from there. So we're going to be regenning at least 15% of our life per second, which is just amazing if we have fortification. Otherwise, just a tiny little bit without it. But if you're doing AoE skills, this is a really good wheel. You can pick this up early. It's just 10, 20, and 20, so 40. 40% increased area effect is just really nice for melee skills that do area of effect. Monsters can have block your attacks is also very nice because there's a lot of stupid shield wearing monsters that can block attacks, and if they can't, you just do all your damage. It's a nice 1-pointer to take on any melee attack build. You get more life here, which is really good. Enemies can't leech from you. It's very nice. Oh, I took this mastery from my fortify. 2% reduced duration of ailments inflicted on you per fortification. So if I'm at 36 and you double that, that's 70% reduced duration. So if you get hit with a spark or a shock, it's going to come right off. If you get hit with an ignite, it's going to fall off right away. So, and we're not going to get chilled or frozen because of our gear. And I'll show you that when I show you the sword. More life. I take the armor in this one. I take the crit reduction mastery because I don't want to be hit with critical strikes very often. Come up here, get your 5th endurance charge. Come up here and we got all kinds of useless stuff. Another crit wheel, which we'll take later, maybe right away if we have level 51 and can use our sword. Ooh, this is not part of the build anymore. I want that out of there. You will use Resolute Technique until you switch to the sword at 51, because it just makes it so you can't be missed. So you will want to get this for leveling. You may end up, if you feel like you're missing a lot, you can take this accuracy wheel and take this bonus mastery at the bottom. Solve all your accuracy problems for the whole rest of the campaign. You can dump this later too if you get accuracy from other sources. So you probably won't ever need Resolute Technique. You can take this as well too for massive increase in accuracy and a little bit more movement speed and a little dex and intelligence, and then dump it when you don't need those nodes anymore. So they're very easy to replace nodes. You just use an Orb of Regret or gold once you get it. So like I said, here's a crit wheel with very nice bonuses to crit chance and multiplier. Here's another rage wheel with nice bonuses to keeping your rage. 10 maximum rage is big, and then we're going to use nearby enemies are intimidated while we have rage. Intimidated means they take 10% increased damage, which is just a damage multiplier. And then here's your Warcry wheel. We're going to use one Warcry wheel. Your Warcries last a little longer. They're 10% increased buff effect. A little more duration and buff effect there with that one. The key is I want minimum of 10 power, mainly because I'm going to use this war cry called Enduring Cry, and I want it to generate a endurance charge for sure. I want to make sure I have 100% uptime on that. Also going to come up this one. These are jewel sockets, which you'll find those and they can improve your build. Come up here, get a little more attack speed, another 5 to maximum rage, and more attack speed. And then that's where monsters cannot block our attacks. That's where we got that mastery. You could also take that right here instead if you wanted to. Go through here. We're gonna get these are late game bonuses. We'll take some of these points will be some of the last points we take. Skill effect duration, more skill effect duration, and more skill effect duration. It's going to make our main, well, kind of our second attack last longer, which is very good. And our power charge generator lasts longer. A little extra life up here. So hopefully that gives you an idea of why I'm taking the points that I'm taking on the tree. And now we're going to look at gear and gems and see what we're doing. So I keep talking about the sword, and this is a super cheap, very common, easy to find leveling item. They're all over the place. They'll be sold for 1 chaos on day 1, maybe 2 if, I don't know. I'm guessing they'll be cheap. You'll have this by the end of day 1 or 2 if you want to, if you save your chaos for it. So ideally we'll 6-link this, and I'm going to use, I'll show you what this sword does quick. It's got nice base accuracy as a prefix. That's the line 360 to accuracy. Above the line is a prefix. And then the implicits are, that's the implicit. And then the prefix and suffixes are nice increase to physical damage, great increase to attack speed, fantastic critical strike chance. That's why we need to go crit after we have this sword. Getting free mana back, getting 10% movement speed is amazingly good. And then gaining a frenzy charge on critical strike is awesome. We'll have 4 of those. They'll be up constantly. So it does good damage. It does nice attack speed. It's just a great weapon for the price. You cannot beat it. It's the best two-handed weapon in the game. Bang for the buck for the price. It's not even close. So that's what we'll use. A couple of other things we're going to do. Let's see here. All right, comms roots. I believe I'll use these boots. They're also cheap and easy to find, and you can corrupt them with, like these boots are, with +1 maximum endurance charge, which would give me 6, and that's very good. So once you have that, say you have that 6 endurance charges and 36 fortify. So 36 fortify is going to give you 36% reduced damage from hits. 6 endurance charge is going to give you 4% reduced elemental and physical damage from hits per endurance charge. So another 24. So what's that? 36 plus 24 is 40. At 60. So we're going to reduce all incoming hit damage we take with this build by 60%, which is fantastic. So it's just going to be a tanky build. You'll be a touch squishy at the starts of combat when you don't have your endurance charges or your fortify up. So you have to be careful how you jump into groups. When you start a map, your first pack that you go into, you'll have to be cautious. But after you get everything up and running, you're going to be very strong. So comms roots are awesome. They don't have any sockets, and we don't need them because we can't curse, we can't use auras, we can't do anything with this Behemoth build. So these are perfect boots for that, for a build that doesn't need a lot of gems because we don't have any spells. So no sockets, but we can't be knocked back. It has a huge life roll, one of the bigger ones that you can get on boots, and the best lines are action speed cannot be modified below base value and unwavering stance. So action speed means we can't be slowed by anything. We can't be chilled. We can't be frozen. So all of these effects are just outstanding. Temporal change curse, which slows you down, has no effect on us. So it doesn't have any base movement speed itself, which kind of stinks, but we're going to get a lot of movement speed from Rampage, and we won't need it. I think this is the way to go. I haven't played these boots in a long time, but I think for this build and for what we're looking for, this will be the way to go. The unwavering stance is this notable right here, which we'll get for free. We can't evade enemy attacks. We don't care. We're going to just mitigate all the damage with all the power charges and the fortification, but we cannot be stunned. So we won't be able to be stunned, chilled, frozen, slowed, or anything. Very, very, very nice effect. So, other stuff for the build. Abilities. And I'm going to show you a couple of options for your main attack. But the beauty of the build is this one right here. Rage Vortex of Berserking. You remember our notable that said 15% chance you gain rage on hit, you instead gain up to your maximum rage. We're going to be hitting a lot, and we have a lot of rage. Base is 30. We're going to get 15 here, so we go up to 45. We're going to get 5 there. So what's that, 50? We're going to get 10 there, so that's like 60. There's probably a couple of odds and ends in there with higher rage too. But give or take, we're going to have, there's 2 maximum. So looks like we'll have 62 maximum range. You can probably get more from gear if you look for it, but that's what we'll have. So 62 maximum rage and 15% to get it all back on a hit. And we're going to use Rage Vortex of Berserking. You get this at level 28. You have to get this in the lab. This is not the normal Rage Vortex. It's a special gem. So be sure before you do your first lab you buy a regular Rage Vortex. We're going to be looking to get this upgrade. And if you don't get it right away, it's not a problem. You can farm lab and get this gem easily if you want to, or you can buy it off the trade site easily, probably very cheap too. So until we get that, we'll use a regular Rage Vortex, which is a nice attack too, but it's not what the build's going to be based around. Berserking is the key. So what this is going to do is going to give us a big, like this, like on the screen, this big or so, spinning mess of sword attacks. You need a sword or axe in an area around you. if you have at least 10 rage, you create a rage storm that's attached to you. So this just follows you around. That repeatedly deals attack damage to enemies based on your attack speed. The rage storm consumes rage, so this will suck your rage down from 60 to nothing, and it ends when you run out. But we're not going to run out because of our passive from our ascendancy point that says 50% chance to go back to our maximum. So you'll be at 60, 50, 40, 30, bam, up to 60 again, 50, 30, 40, 20, bam, up to 60 again. Just constantly. It's just what's going to happen. This will generate rage for you because of that chance to get all of your rage back on hit. So each second 20% more, so it does go down fast. There's outside chance you could lose this at times just because of random number generation, but I have ideas for how to prevent that. So what it does is the hits are 250% more frequently, so this hits crazy fast. It's going to be just going with that sword, the Terminus, which already hits fast, 1.68 attacks per second base, plus our bonus attack speed from fortification and any other attack speed we have on the tree. It's just going to be hitting crazy fast. So outstanding skill for this Ascendancy and build. Well, I've never used it before, so I can't wait, but I know this is going to work. Second thing, since we have two 6-socket items, our chest armor and our weapon itself, the sword, I'm going to use another regular attack. Oh, this has a duration. This doesn't have a duration. This is losing rage per second. So this one has a duration, which we may use for bosses. We may switch to this for bosses because we don't care if it follows us for bosses. And this has a duration of 3 seconds, which we will increase with those passive points up here to probably about 10 seconds, and along with a gem. So we'll pop this off one time, and I'll explain how we're going to make it really worthwhile. So having a regular rage vortex for bosses and a rage vortex of berserking for map clear. We'll see. I don't know. I may never use this other rage vortex for bosses because I just might not fight any hard bosses on this character. Like I said, I'm going to do 2 builds for sure for this event, and the other one will for sure be a bosser. It's going to be a Herald of Agony build. So we'll see, but it's there and available. If this is going to be your only character this league, you'll definitely want both of these, and you'll want this for bossing. If this is not your only character, you may never even take these nodes because you don't need duration. You can skip all this stuff. Pick up that monsters can't block your attacks right down here. You could skip this whole pile of points and put them into something else. So it's a nice option. All right, secondary attacks. We got 2 options here. I'm going with sweep as my main choice. Sweep is just you literally swing your 2-handed melee weapon in a circle. It has really good base attack damage. It works with any 2-handed weapon, so a sword is fine. It's got that little bit of knockback, which is not really relevant. You'll hardly notice it. But you're just going to do attack that goes like this. Whoop, 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 and it's relatively fast, and it's relatively big. So it's just a nice attack. Other option, you could use Ice Crash. Also works with a sword. Right here, works with swords. This is a slam, so if you want to do different war cries that affect slams, you could use this one. But Rage Vortex is not a slam, it's just an attack AoE melee. So is Sweep. So that's why I like these 2 in conjunction, because they have the same tag. So anything that scales attack AoE or melee will scale Sweep, and it will scale Rage Vortex of Berserking. But Ice Crash is nice. It converts all your physical damage to cold, which is a good deal, especially when you're critting, because you'll be freezing guys, which is a nice defensive layer. Does really nice base damage too, 611. Sweep is 664. Sweep's a little higher. Rage Vortex is really small, but it does have this giant frequency of hitting. So the hits are going to be much littler, but they're going to be rapid, many times a second. So Ice Crash, your other option. Does 3 hits, bam, bam, bam. Every time you attack, slam the ground, damaging enemies in area around you. So if you're right here and you hit this, you're going to get a slam that's like this big right there. The impact does 3 stages of increasing size. Enemies take slightly less damage on the second and third stage, and can only be hit by 1 stage. So it's like, it's not like you're getting 3 hits for this. It's just creating this effect as other monsters are coming in. The pop, pop, pop of the 3 hits will just maybe hit them. So it's a good, really good skill for just clear. And if you end up deciding to try unarmed and take the crit instead of the rage route, or instead of the fortification route, which is definitely an option, this is really cool. There's a amulet that increases your unarmed critical strike chance. There's other jewels that make your critical strike chance when you're unarmed do all kinds of cool things. Ice Crash works really good with those unarmed builds with the Facebreaker gloves. So you can Google Facebreaker builds if you want to see how to do that, but that's not what I'm planning on doing. So, but you can see they work with unarmed. Sweep does not. So it's available if you decide you want to modify this build to unarmed later and use Facebreaker. I don't know. I don't plan to. So that's what I got. Rage Vortex of Berserking and Sweep. Comms Roots. And then other things that I'm going to do with the build quickly. Terminus. I'll get this 6 linked when I'm playing along. I'll have a 6 link chest piece. So 2 builds, 2 main skills. Sweep. Linked with Melee Fizz, which is just more physical damage. A little less attack speed, but doesn't matter. A lot more damage. Close Combat, which is more damage. The closer you are, the more you get, but it also boosts the speed of your travel skill, which is super nice. That Combat Rush bonus you get is crazy good, and this works with axes or swords, so you can use this with Terminus. Make your next Leap Slams, which is our movement ability. Here's what it looks like. And if you add increased attack speed, get around pretty quick. And we're going to be getting around a lot quicker than that because we're going to have a faster weapon. This is only 144. Ours will be 168. And we're going to have rampage and movement speed from rage. So it's going to be very good. So we will have Leap Slam linked with faster attacks, Culling Strike that kills an enemy that's at 10% of health or less. So if you see a boss go down to his last 10%, just hop on him, bam, and he's dead. Endurance Charge on melee stun. Leap Slams does have a built-in base stun for everybody that's on full life, so this is going to keep us in endurance charges like crazy. Sweep is going to be linked with Melee Fizz, Close Combat, maybe Multi-Strike. I'm not sure. It's really good. It makes you attack 3 times, so it'll be instead of just first hit does a little less damage, but the second 2 hits do more damage. So overall, and it's way more attack speed. So this is fast. It's good. Critical Strike, we are going crit because this sword has a nice high base crit. So crit multiplier, this is going to be buffed up a lot more once it's high level. And Brutality because we're doing all physical damage. So it's very good. I may find that I need to swap in more Rage on attack hit to keep my Rage Vortex of Berserking sustained. So I will sweep this in for one of these skills, probably either Multi-Strike or Close Combat or Melee Fizz. I don't know, one of them, depending upon what I feel works best to keep the Rage Vortex going at all times in mapping. So Rage Vortex, remember, this is the regular version, not the Berserking, which I will get. So this will be Berserking. Going to link with Melee Fizz. Going to link with more duration, so it'll last long. Actually, I won't if it's Berserking. So that'll come out. And another Close Combat will go in, probably, as my buff. Or, alternatively,
Godslayer, good day.
2 options here. For bosses, nah, probably not. There we go. Increase area of effect to make it bigger. Melee Fizz to make it do more damage. Area Effect to make it bigger. Brutality for more damage. Crit for more damage. And Maim for more damage. And also, when enemies are maimed by this skill, which means they slow down a little bit and they have the Maim debuff on them, they take 10% increased physical damage. So it does more damage, makes them take more damage. So they'll be intimidated and maimed, taking 20% increased damage. And that will also affect damage from sweep. That's probably what I'm going to use as my 6 links here. Could change as you play along. Once you finish Act 6, I think you have access to all the gems, so you guys can pick it out, whatever you want, whatever you think is better. I talked about the Leap Slam as my move, and then my last 4 links. So how this will go is chest, weapon, helmet, and gloves, because I can't put any in my boots because comms roots don't have sockets. So this will be everything. I'm going to use Enduring Cry, which guaranteed power charge generation and nice extra regen. It's just I want to keep those 5 or 6 charges up for all boss fights. Intimidating Cry, this is the big one. Exerted melee attacks deal double damage. Also gives me a little extra movement speed, but that I don't care about. Excuse me. So with this one and this one, if you pop Intimidating Cry and then you Rage Vortex, if you don't have one up, it does double damage until it expires. So you could have a Rage Vortex of Berserking that lasts for dang near the whole map, theoretically, that's doing double damage. It's awesome. It exerts the next 2 attacks, so your next sweep would also do double damage. It's just outstanding. So that's why I do have the couple of points here to get a minimum of 10 power, so it always does something. It's good. It's very good. And lastly, our power charge generator. I'd like to do this with a spell, but I can't. So I'm going to do it with Static Strike. And I probably won't always use this, but it's available. I don't have anything else to do with the open gem slots in my gloves because there's no curses, there's no reservations or anything like that with not being able to use spells. So I just pop Static Strike on an enemy. It lasts for 3 seconds, but I have increased duration, so this will last about 6. It hits fairly frequently. It hits every 0.4 seconds, so it's gonna hit roughly 3 times a second, not quite, and last for 6 seconds. And then it'll have a nice chance to generate a power charge, which will increase my crit chance. So free Frenzy Charge from here on Critical Strike. Free power charge generation from just popping Static Strike once in a while. Good movement speed with Leap Slam. Free endurance charge generation with Leap Slam. More endurance charge generation guaranteed with Enduring Cry. More double damage. A big AoE swirling blade of swords that follows you everywhere you go and probably lasts the entire map every time you start a map. And just a nice big hitting regular sword attack to go with it. So damage source, damage source, damage source. 3 damage sources that should or could be up dang near most of the time. On a fairly tanky character taking 60-ish% less damage from hits. With a ton of rage, granting 1% more attack damage per rage. And I said I think I get 62 at max. It's going to degen as I go along, but you'll probably at least have 30 or 40 most of the time. Big attack speed buff from your fortification, big regen buff from your fortification, lots of crit, lots of leech. It's just it's a weird build with no spells, but I think it's going to work. And I think I'm going to League Start it. Big AoE from this and this. It's just really good. I can't, and it's cheap. Nothing in this is going to cost a lot. So you just fill out your other gear, with your comms roots and your boots and your terminus there. You're just going to look for armor. Most of your sockets are red. you want mostly armor. You might end up putting this in your sword because it's dex and strength, so it's going to be easier to get 4 reds and blue and a green in your sword than it is in red chest armor. But getting 4 reds and 2 blues in red chest armor is a piece of cake. So you're looking for high armor. You can look for filling out your resistances. You can look for more attack speed. Rings and amulets are a great source of damage. So things that you'll look for. You see this one. See, this one says 1 to 5 lightning damage to attacks. That's a terrible roll, and it's not useful for the build that I'm currently playing at all. It's a nothing prefix. But what you'll look for is increases to physical damage, crit multi. It's big on amulets. See if I have any good ones. You can get more crit chance on rings. You can get a belt like this with an abyssal socket that has good stats. These are crappy. Ooh, see that one? Nice. This is even fractured. A big fire damage to attacks roll. That could be physical to attack, and that would be very useful for the build. You won't see that big in numbers, but you can get a pretty big roll. See what else I got. Do I have any good amulets? This might not be a terrible ring to use to start. Gives you consecrate ground when you do a crit, which is curse reduction and life regen. It also gives you item rarity. Very nice. More damage while on consecrated ground, which you will be. A little bit of chance to block attacks. Outstanding. So cheap ring that provides a lot of extra damage. Bunch of extra crit chance. Really good. Precision, can't use it. So a lot of the stuff you cannot use. So this Ami has increased crit chance. There's a replica version of this that's found in Heist that has, instead of the projectile bonuses, it's area effect bonuses, which could be really good. So that's a possibility. Carnage Heart's a great early starting amulet. Gives you more life leech, gives you really nice attributes, gives you a bunch of flat physical as life leeched. It's just really good. Lots of stuff like that. Very easy to get. You can find that no problem, or buy it. Loop of Balls is very good. Rings to start with. Give you extra rarity, gives you increased damage attributes and elemental resistances. So get a couple of those would work. There's lots of stuff you can do. Still trying to find a good amulet. Guess I didn't play much on this league. Oh, here's a nice. This shows that you can get physical damage to attacks on an amulet. There's even more. So that's a really decent roll. So stuff like that, very good. You get more accuracy on a ring. Lots of stuff. Anyway, that's the build. That's just what we're gonna do. I think for League Start, this will be my first character. It's super weird, but I think it's gonna be fun. And I know I can get all this gear really cheap and really quick. So get this up and running. Obviously, we don't have a six link right away. You'll get this as a 4 link and 4 link armor. Easy peasy. Just pick 2 of your worst supports and take them out. Put in 5 and 6 supports as you get more links on both those pieces of gear. That's it. That is the build. If you found this helpful or interesting, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. It helps the channel. And that's it for me. It's been Fragorn, and good luck with your League Start for the Legacy of Phrecia event. Thank you.